Hey brothers and sisters, this is Kameron. How's it going? I'm very excited to show this to you. I finally went back to the JW cart looking for Kurt because it was handed off to Kurt, and he asked me, he challenged me to come up with my hardest questions to ask him, so I did. I googled some things, I went to the website, compared some notes, and I got just about everything I had ready to go speak to him, and I went back, did not find them. And just about every single time I've approached the cart, something has gone wrong with either the microphone not working or the camera going off or something. This time I had a wire on and it sounded great. The camera dies in about like 5 or 10 minutes, but I put in plenty of titles and pictures and stuff for you guys to follow along. And this time I did not play as dumb. I pretended to be someone who, Googled for 20 minutes, even though that's all it took me. In actuality, was 20 minutes to Google the answers to the questions I knew they couldn't answer, and that most religious people that I meet, they can't answer these questions, so I thought I'd ask them. And I really put them under the microscope. I asked them about things like, homosexuality. What do you guys think about that? I asked them about disfellowshipping and comparisons to Scientology and Mormonism. And I really, really tried to stick it to them and not stick it to them, but make them stay on task, because they have this. I did this too to my old Bible studies, that they'd ask these really awesome, relevant questions. And I try to divert their attention back to the book and get them back on this path, because that's all I really know how to do. And I remember my old pioneer days in auxiliary pioneers and going out with Bethelites and all this stuff. The ministry is really unorganized, extremely unorganized. Going out and witnessing to people, it's terrible. And you have to get somebody who's really emotionally weak, vulnerable, through a divorce, through a death, through a financial hardship, through drugs, something, in order to really get to them and then start the brainwashing procedures. So I stuck it to them, made them answer my questions, and I think I was starting to get somewhere. I got them to admit a few things, and hope you like the footage. Let me know what you think down below.
Oh god. Let's see, at least advertising. Hey guys.
Hey, hello.
How are you? Is Curtis here?
Curtis, yours
He was another guy that was in
He's not here right now.
Oh, okay.
Why?
I had talked to him earlier. I was talking to him earlier. It's before I'm just checking my time. And he told me to come back because I had some questions. Like, I have family that are on the East Coast. I guess they're Jehovah Witness.
Right.
And I just had questions about their beliefs because I don't really see them all the time. And when I try to buy them a birthday present or something, they seem uncomfortable.
Yeah. Did he give you anything to read or anything?
He gave me this book with his information in it, but I lost it. I literally can't find it.
Okay, this one is quick. Got all these Bible topics, and it's just a couple pages each. But if you want a book, there's another one. Just take another one.
What is your what's your contact information, and I'll pass it on to him.
Okay, well, I told him I wasn't sure because I wasn't super comfortable giving out my contact information.
Oh, okay.
Because he asked to come to my house, and I'm like, that's a bit early in this
That's
relationship.
No,
well, we go to everybody's house, So.
If you want, I can give you his information, and you can contact.
Yeah, he gave me his cell.
It's
the book is around it in my apartment somewhere.
Yeah, there's no obligation. It's just It's just you can go to the jw.org, and that will tell you. In fact, right in the back, I think, and it takes you right to the website.
Yeah.
And all the current.
Oh wow, you guys have cards too.
Yep.
All the information you might need. And what's your name?
Cameron, what was your name?
Darren.
Darren. Very nice to meet you, man. Richard.
My pleasure.
Maria? Rhea. That's quite, I like that. Rhea. Yeah, because he told me to come up with the hardest questions I could think of
Really?
and ask him, so I did, which took me a couple weeks, but I did, and I was excited to ask him about them. But
Well, you can ask us. I don't know if we're.
it'd be off the cuff, yeah.
Yeah, right.
And I only have 20 minutes, but so my main thing that I asked him about, because I was confused about the whole holiday thing,
Right.
and at first I thought it was anniversaries and baby showers too, but the group told me that baby showers and anniversaries are okay.
Yeah.
And I asked him because I'm trying to understand why the family on the East Coast, I see them every once in a while,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to understand their beliefs.
Yeah.
I don't have an intention of becoming a Jehovah's Witness, but I want to understand them so I can try to be respectful. But
That's nice. That's very nice.
yeah, they're family. Blood is thicker than water.
I used to be Catholic myself, and
Mm-hmm.
I was Presbyterian. My
yeah, so
wife was born and raised in Italy. She was Catholic.
so we used to celebrate the holidays.
Do you miss it?
Up until I was 15, no.
No?
No, I mean, after you find out what certain things represent, then you realize why you make that decision. You know, it's a personal decision, of course, but it's how we believe.
Well, pretty much any encyclopedia
Yeah,
will give you the history
Christmas,
of birthdays and Christmas.
Yeah, the ladies here were telling me to just Google Christmas and Google, like,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Well, you know, we just personally we just went up to Italy, and we were we were in Rome, and
Must be
and so
beautiful.
when it was great, yeah. But when you're going down there and you see a lot of the pagan ideas.
That's what they said, pagan. A lot of things are pagan, so they don't do them
December
now.
25th
You guys don't
was-
do them because of pagan.
Well, December
stuff.
25th was a date of it was a Roman ritual, celebration of the birth of the seasons, the sun.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So Constantine made it into a Christian holiday because right before he died, he wanted to fuse pagan ideas with Christianity, and so
Do like a hybrid. Do his own branch.
So that this way he would unite the empire.
Interesting.
He was trying to unite it, but when you go in the Bible, there's no such thing as Christmas. There's no such thing as Easter. There's no such thing as. In fact, the only two times when they celebrate birthdays is people have their heads cut off.
Yeah, they told me about that.
Yeah.
And
The Egyptians.
Well, I was-
Not
I was
Exactly.
confused about that because, like, I was under the impression, like, baby showers were a no-no, and the girls here, they let me know baby showers are okay. The reasoning was that it helps, like, the parents, like, if
Right.
they need
Yeah.
some stuff to get started, and I did it in front of them. I Googled baby shower, and it has pagan origins too. So I was just really, I felt like that, like, from an outsider's perspective, that's kind of hypocritical for a Jehovah's Witness to celebrate a baby shower when it absolutely comes from
So
pagan
what did
origins.
What did it say about baby showers?
Let me bring it up. I have it because I took notes for Curtis. I was like all excited about it. But also like wedding veils, wedding tie, or wearing a tie comes from the Roman Catholics, like military, and wedding rings. Those are all like white wedding dress. It's all pagan origins. So it just seems, from an outsider's perspective, double-sided.
The ring, even the ring.
Even the ring, the wedding ring, yeah.
Yeah.
Those all come
I
from
always
pagan
thought
origins.
That the tie was more of a dress. So you're saying that even the tie has religious connotations?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, that's
It was news to me, and I was confused. I was like, well, and then I looked. If you Google,
yeah.
like, baby shower, I'm just going to Google because these are things I wonder about with my family. You know, like the ones I see every once in a while.
Right.
If I Google baby shower, the first thing that comes up, it looks exactly like a birthday party,
Baby showers
and it's
well,
you know, if I go to Wikipedia, or which
Yeah.
may not be the best source, but it's right here. It's a baby shower is a way to celebrate the expected or delivered birth of a child by presenting gifts to the mother at the party. That sounds like a pre-birthday birthday to me. So I'm super confused as like why one thing and not the other, or why not all these other things and why this.
Well, I think a lot of that depends on culture too. In our culture, it's to provide the family with things that they may need, you know, especially if it's their first kid.
Yeah, and all the
it's like,
birthday
well,
parties I've had, it's providing me things that I need, or just dinner, or
I
having a good
understand,
time.
but I mean,
No one
the
gets their heads
birthday
beheaded
party- The birthday party
anymore. Like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
it's true. Well, maybe not so, but
I mean,
hopefully it's not going to happen.
yeah, hopefully no one dies at any birthday, but
no, but when
that
you
raises
think-
like a red
when you-
flag in my
When
head.
you think about the, you know, what's good is to do research on the first century Christians, and when you see them in their lives, because a lot of times they experienced a lot of persecution from the Roman Empire. You know,
Oh yeah, they were murdered for not,
they were-
burned at the stake
yeah,
for not believing
they were-
anything
they
the same.
They didn't do emperor worship. Emperor worship was just, you know, I don't know if they bowed down to the emperor or they had to just.
Just a pinch of incense.
Yeah,
I mean, it
yeah.
only took a couple seconds, but the point is they weren't going to do it because
They
that
weren't, yeah.
acknowledges Caesar as
And-
God, and they said he's
and-
not.
Yeah, and,
So they killed him.
yeah. So there was and the fact that the early first century Christians, they were in a direct association with the apostles. So while they were with the apostles, they got to see a lot of things as to the separation from the world at that time.
Yeah.
They didn't celebrate the birth of Christ. That was not something that they did. It wasn't something.
So on that, I was confused about that too.
Yeah.
Because if you read the chapter that Matthew was born, it clearly states that the angels were clapping and praising the birth of Jesus. That was the celebration.
They were happy because it meant our salvation. But
Yeah.
it wasn't part of worship. It wasn't part. In other words, Jesus didn't say, "Do this in remembrance of me." The only time he said
When he was
that,
a baby, he wasn't.
Yeah,
He couldn't say it.
No, later. Well, not as a baby, but later on, because he didn't begin his ministry till he was 30. So up to that age,
He was up there.
up to 30, when he began his ministry.
How early do you guys start your ministry then?
Oh, early, as soon as we can. I don't know.
You don't wait till you're 30 when you're mature?
I was 15 when I started.
Yeah.
That's pretty early.
Yeah,
You're a baby.
Here's the one, since you, but in this one, this is the one that tells you.
Yeah, I saw some of that.
Yeah, did you see? And this is the one that tells you that paragraph about birthdays.
I'm finding it as an outsider trying to understand.
Yeah.
No,
It
that's
seems
fine.
very
No.
picky and choosy to like
No, it's-
Christmas. I get it. Christmas is not really about Jesus anymore. It's about selling things
Yeah, well,
and
you have a lot of
commercial
people,
stuff, and it's not.
You have people
about Jesus.
in Japan, and there are a lot of them are, what is it, Shinto, and they're not even Christian, and they're celebrating Christmas because they get into the spirit of family.
Yeah.
And I think, and even in
Which
this
I think you would agree that's what it should be about is family. Because if you guys are doing,
Then you
I mean,
should-
well, we
then you
appreciate
should
the
have it
family.
anytime.
Family is very
Yeah.
important. But it
baby
doesn't-
showers is
but it
like
doesn't have to
appreciating
be
the family with
one
gifts.
day.
It's just
It
like a
doesn't have to be
birthday.
one day. It has,
But like yes or no, doesn't that
families all
seem
the
odd?
time.
Like that's what I'm trying. Every time I talk to you guys,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going into circles of no yes or
Yeah,
no
yeah,
answers.
well,
It just seems odd to me.
Well, there's a lot of scriptural stuff, and then there's cultural stuff.
Well, they told me last time I met with them that there's no scripture that outright says yes or no birthdays. It's just you're going off the fact that two people lost their lives.
Yeah.
So I Googled this,
Yeah.
and if those guys hadn't lost their lives, then the predictions from God would not have come true. So that's super
Be
confusing
careful-
to me.
Be careful what you read on Google.
No, it's in the Bible. Like if you look up the scriptures, like I'll get the scriptures when I see you again. I'll get the scriptures.
No,
I-
it's interesting that you bring that up, and it's true.
They were
Bible-
predicted because if
the
they didn't
Bible-
happen,
well, the
then
Bible
God's
does
predictions would have been
mention-
false.
The Bible does mention that there were that these executions took place, and John the Baptist was the one that had his head beheaded. He was beheaded.
Yeah, and that was
And
predicted.
It wasn't well. I mean, he was gonna die. He was.
It was
his-
Joseph, right?
Huh?
Who was the one that was in Egypt?
That was
Joseph.
Joseph, because Joseph had a dream that was going to happen, or he was
Yeah,
predicted
and
that was going to
he-
happen.
He mentioned that
If he hadn't been beheaded,
but it was a dream that God gave him.
so if God gave that dream that was going to happen,
But his purpose, but
then it
didn't-
doesn't make sense to
the
not celebrate
significance-
birthdays off of that.
Yeah, the significance was that it elevated Joseph into a higher position. I mean, the benefit was
So it was a good thing that
well, it was
that
for the
happened.
nation of Israel, for the nation of Israel, for the
So that guy needed to die.
well, it was part of the dream, but it didn't. It has no effect on us. The only effect that
Then you guys should be able to celebrate birthdays now.
No. The only thing it has, the difference is that the first century Christians did not celebrate birthdays, and Jesus never encouraged his followers. That was not something that he told his followers, celebrate my birthday, or Mark, you were just born, let's celebrate this. The only thing he said to remember him was the Lord evening meal.
Yeah, they told me about it, that you guys do
That
celebrate
was-
the death.
Yeah.
Because that is something that is mentioned in the Bible. That is something that the first century Christians did. And, what we do is we try to apply the Bible to the best of our abilities.
Clearly, to me, it seems like there's some inconsistencies.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's when you try to follow the Bible, not just the Hebrew Scriptures, but the entire Bible. To me, we're not taking anything. We're not taking. I'm going to follow this because it feels good. We follow it because that's the way. That's what the Bible says. Now, the Bible says, "Preach the good news of God's kingdom." How many people are doing that?
I mean, people have all kinds of different interpretations of the Bible. I'm trying to figure out your guys's.
No, and that's just I'm just saying is that.
But I'm like, every time I have these conversations, I don't feel like I'm being addressed.
If you go on the
Like, I feel like it's like I'm
they have that
like
question.
these things are clearly pagan. Like, you know, baby showers, weddings, ties, wedding rings, and probably everything. The design of this building is got pagan roots.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
I know a guy who designs doors, and a 4-panel door, if you look at it, it's like a cross on a Bible. Like, we probably all have that in all of our houses. That's pagan, so you're going to remove your doors? Like, no, that's ridiculous.
See, again, you're mixing points of view in the scriptures.
It sounds like you guys are mixing points of view in the scriptures,
So,
which is why I'm confused.
So you want to be, you say your family back east, they're witnesses?
Trying to understand them, and the more I talk to you guys, the more I'm worried about them.
Oh, now you're saying.
If you go on the jw.org
boy.
on the home page and you scroll down, they have why we don't celebrate birthdays.
I did, and they said the same reasons, but if those guys hadn't died, then those predictions from God would not have happened, and Joseph wouldn't have been elevated. So it was a good thing. It was a good thing that the guy had. I'm sad that he had to die, but that was from the God's point of view.
It's not a good thing when they cut off your head. That's not a good thing.
But God predicted it for him to go up, just to go up.
It was just part of a dream. Part of a dream that
But it
Joseph
actually
had,
happened.
That Joseph had, and part of what John the Baptist had. I mean, his responsibility was he was a cousin. He was actually a cousin of Jesus. So they were related, and he was born a few months before 6 months. Was it 6 months before Jesus? And it was a time when they could watch the sheep. Sheep were out in the pastures and everything like that. The weather was perfect.
Yeah.
Now, if you take December in Israel at that time, it's too cold, and it wouldn't be possible.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That Jesus probably wasn't even born around that time.
Here's the point.
I've heard other Bible people say that he probably actually wasn't born around that time. They know that.
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. If birthdays were important to Christians, we would know the exact date Jesus was born, right?
I mean, we know the year,
The Son of God. Well,
like
we
through
know
like
the year, yeah.
scientists and like science.
We know the period, sometime between September, October. Well, we don't know the exact date, and if it was that important, we would. So evidently, the early Christians didn't observe it. We don't know that information.
I mean, that's very true, but
Yeah, so
if you look
what's
in
the
your own
point?
Bible, and I'm sure you have, the angels were clapping the birth of Jesus. They were
Well,
celebrating something.
What was it? It was a fulfillment of prophecy that the Messiah was born.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's not a bad thing that someone was born, especially Jesus.
Well, it was the Messiah. It was all prophecy.
So I don't get the contradiction on why birthdays are bad. That's why I'm confused.
Okay. I
Yeah.
understand.
Doesn't it, you admit that makes no sense to me? That it seems weird. It seems
No,
odd.
I admit you can't make sense of it. So that's no problem.
I actually did have like 2 questions because
Okay.
like the other one was because I listen to everybody, like Mormon, atheists, Buddhist, Islam. Now you guys, especially since I'm trying to understand my family, I was confused because a friend had actually asked me this a while ago, and I asked a Mormon this, and they weren't able to answer me. Do you guys believe that anyone has or hasn't seen God's face?
God passed by Moses, and his face shone red. But no man has seen God and lived.
Weird, right? Because I looked that up.
Because that's what the Bible says.
Because you're talking about Genesis 32:30, where Jacob said, "I have seen the face of God." But then if we go later on to, I'm just curious to see what it says in your Bible. I know you guys have, I guess, an app now. I don't know if you guys have Bibles, if that's a thing anymore.
Oh yeah, well that's
You mean a hard copy?
Yeah, I don't have your Bibles. That's why I'm asking. Do you have a Bible?
yeah,
Right there?
yeah.
This is what I'm asking because I don't want to come off like this to my family. I want to try to understand them.
I understand where you're talking about. What
Hopefully, I'm not
scripture?
coming off rude because I'm honestly confused.
No, I understand. What scripture?
It was Genesis 32:30, and I don't know what yours says.
Mine says pretty much what anybody else says.
Oh, you got a mini one.
So Jacob named the place Peniel, where he said, "I have seen God face to face, yet my life was preserved."
Yeah, seeing God face to face and his life was preserved. But then if we go to John chapter 1 verses 18 and John chapter 4 verses 12, they both say nobody has seen the face of God.
Right.
So that to me puts the entire Bible in contradiction with itself.
So what's the context of that scripture?
Well, you know,
Right? Isn't that confusing?
Well, the
right?
The context
it can,
is.
I mean, it can.
The context is that Jacob had wrestled with an angel. Okay, that's the
He wrestled?
context. He wrestled with an angel, and he wanted to get the angel's name, and the angel wouldn't do it.
Can we look at the John chapter 1:18?
So anyway, here's the thing: he wrestled with an angel, and it's as if he saw God face to face. Guys, good. Nick. What's the other one? John what?
John chapter 1 verse 18. Like I've been asked this before. I didn't know.
That's Spanish. When you get old, you gotta lick your fingers sometimes.
I wash my hands first.
No
though.
man has seen God at any time. The only begotten God who is at the Father's side is the one who has explained it.
Yeah, and then John chapter 4 verses 12 says the same thing, right?
So then, in the context of what they're saying, evidently,
It seems contradictory.
well, it seems that way. But actually, if you're wrestling an angel, God is anyone that's superhuman. Okay, John 4 what?
12?
4:12. Can't be John 4:12. It says, "You're not greater than our forefather Jacob, who gave us the well, and who together with his sons and his cattle drank out of it, are you?"
John chapter 4 verses 12?
Yeah. He's talking about Jacob there, the forefather of the Jews.
Say the beginning or the end of it? I don't have a Bible or anything, so.
Well, if you're saying John 4:12, there it is.
Okay, well,
Yeah, see.
the first one said it.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, don't worry about it.
But my next question, like in that same question, is do you guys obviously try to, it sounds like you try to live your life by the Bible.
Much as
Do
I
you
can.
believe that God wrote the Bible or man?
Men wrote the Bible directed by God.
Directed by God.
Yeah.
So then God directed those, at least those two scriptures they found to be
Well,
contradictory.
yeah. Well, they're not contradictory, but like I say, when you consider the entire context.
I mean, they are. Like if you read it,
If you just read scripture.
Genesis 32:30 says, "I've seen the face of God,"
All right, here's
and John
the-
1:18 says, "Nobody has seen the face of God."
Why would somebody say that? What's the context? Sometimes you have to read a whole chapter to understand.
Maybe you
what
can
the
research
context
that and come back and clear it up for me because I don't know. It just
Well,
seems like the whole
Well,
thing is in
read-
question,
Okay.
So you're saying that,
right? Like it's
So you're saying that.
to an outsider, it seems really weird.
So you're saying that, that a person, individual saw God's face.
Yeah,
That's what
we read it together in
Yeah.
Genesis 32:30.
And
Jacob saw
yet,
God's face, and then
and-
John 1:18 it says,
In
"Nobody has
Isaiah,
seen
why don't
God's
you read,
face and lived."
Isaiah, well, you know, you can't read. Isaiah 40:26.
What's that?
Isaiah 40:26.
What does it say?
It says, "Lift up your eyes to heaven and see who's created these things. There's the one who brings up their army by number. He calls them all out by name because of his vast dynamic energy and his awe-inspiring power. Not one of them is missing." I mean, think about that. His dynamic energy, his awe-inspiring power. In other words, if he has the ability,
He's the most powerful.
right,
He can do anything.
If he has the ability to create the sun, now can you look at the sun?
I mean, not for very long.
Well, that's right. If you do, what's going to happen? You're going to go blind.
Yeah.
Right? So technically, you can't look at the sun because it's got the power. God is more powerful than this. So the scriptures say that if we as humans looked upon him, we would die like that because of his dynamic energy.
Except for Jacob.
Jacob did not see. No, Jacob did not see it.
But what does the scripture
No,
say?
Jacob saw a representation of him.
Does it say that he saw a
Well,
representation,
it
or did
has
you
to
say
be.
God's face?
It has to be a representation.
Like, look at it, Genesis
It
32:30.
has to be a representation or an angel that represents it.
And well, now you're just avoiding the
No, I'm not.
what the
avoiding
Bible
it.
says.
No, because the Bible does not contradict. No, you think about that.
It does.
God
It just
has
did.
sent- God has sent angels to represent him. God has sent people, I mean not people, but he
sent Jesus.
Sent Jesus, sent angels, sent other, he's done, well, when he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, the city, because it was corrupt, what happened?
Yeah, I asked about that last time, and they said because they were drinking and eating and
when they go there,
partying.
Yeah, when they were doing a lot of bad things. But there's remnants there, archaeological evidence of some catastrophic event that took place, like almost some sort of power that destroyed the entire place. There was power. I mean, God directed that. He said, this is what's going to happen. But he saved Lot and his family. And the aspect is that God sent his angels. And even Lot, it wasn't even Lot, it was it Jacob? Or Lot's relative was asking God, well, if you can find 10 people.
Abraham.
Was it Abraham? Yeah, it was.
He was trying to level with God, like, hold on, hold up.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
He was trying to reason with God.
What if I find 10 individuals that will accept you, that will change? And he couldn't even find 10. And as a result, the city was destroyed. But the thing is that God uses other means. I mean, he gives us a Bible. The Bible is it's like he's talking to us. It's his communication with us. He can, right now you could be praying to God in your mind, and he could be hearing you.
Well, I mean, right now he's confusing me. So
Well, no, not confusing. Well, I mean, all you
if I
gotta do-
see you guys again, could you look up like why those contradictions? Those two, just
Here's-
Genesis
I don't-
32:30.
I don't consider them contradiction for one reason.
I mean, you guys do research, right?
No,
Yeah,
of
well,
course.
listen.
Well, can you write those down and explain to me why that is there?
No, what is that? The
Genesis 32:30.
yeah.
I've seen the face of God. John 1:18. Nobody has seen the face of God.
Okay.
That to me
Don't
is
take
super
them out of
confusing.
context. He just explained.
I'm
to
asking you guys to find the
Okay,
context
well,
and find the
go back
reasoning
to-
on it because I don't know.
Read the whole chapter.
Like if you write it down, do you need a pen?
Okay.
I have a pen. Because I'm like, honestly, I haven't found a Mormon that can answer this question. I haven't found a Christian that can answer this question. This is why I'm confused. Just on a piece of paper. And then I have one last question, then I got to jet. And I don't mean to be like, yeah, but I want to know.
But I can tell that you're where I was when I started.
I'm asking questions.
There's
54
nothing wrong.
years ago.
Nothing wrong with asking questions. I mean,
No,
I
questions
just,
are good.
I didn't.
But the most important thing.
Okay, what is it?
is
Genesis
Genesis
32:30.
32:30.
Jacob says, I have seen the face of God.
And what was the other one?
John chapter 1 verses 18,
Chapter 1, verse 18.
where it says nobody has seen the face of God.
Do you have an email?
I do.
Can I take your email?
Yeah, I can write it down.
Okay.
Or do you have an email? That I can
have an
email?
But if I come up with the information, send it to you. I can send it to you. It's not gonna. Give me your,
All right, we'll do.
He'll go make up an email just for you, so it's okay.
No, this is
no, that's his name.
this is my real
Yeah.
email.
What's your first name?
Cameron.
Cameron. And your last name?
Hold on a second. Jacobson.
Probably not red.
My last question, I was confused because I asked him. I heard that you have to believe a certain way, or that Jehovah's Witnesses think that I guess the end of the world's going to come, and if you don't believe a certain way, then you're going to be done away with. I guess like Sodom and Gomorrah. And well, my main question is like I have friends that I'm worried because I have friends that are gay, transsexual, pan, bi, and for a long time I thought, from what Christian people had told me, that they chose to be that way. Like seems to be a mainstream teaching. And when I asked them, I was like, why don't I just ask them, instead of gossiping or hearing hearsay? It's kind of like why I'm here. I asked my gay friend, like, what made you attracted to other men? Or asked my pansexual friend, she's attracted to everything. Like she told me she's attracted to the soul of a person, and their personality more than anything. I was like, when did you know? And she asked me like, well, what are you attracted to? I said, well, I'm attracted to ladies with big butts. And they're like, well, when did you know? And it's like, well, I don't. I've always been attracted to women with that kind of body type. And then they said that's exactly how it was for us. So I was like, okay, so it's not a choice. It's just something that genetically happened, whatever. if they can't choose, if they were born that certain way, will they be done away with too? Will they be like, because obviously from the beliefs, the scriptures that the lady showed me before, if I don't become a JW witness, whatever, then I'm going to be done away with at Armageddon.
We can't judge anyone. I mean, there's no way that we can judge. I mean, as far as what's going to happen when the end comes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way. I mean, we can't say that. I mean, we know that a lifestyle can change. Just like
Sure, like if a mass murderer stopped murdering, you could become a better person.
I was in Kansas, and there was I used to live in Kansas, and there was a gentleman that had started studying the Bible, and he changed his entire way. He was gay, and that was back in.
So basically,
that was back.
They could be saved, but they have to change their ways. Is that what you're saying?
The custom. I mean, it's just what's acceptable to God. And, you know, Sodom and Gomorrah, they practiced vile things. And,
gay things, like transsexual things, bi things.
Whatever's
wasn't
vile,
natural.
God's
Even what happened before the flood. You believe in the flood? You believe the flood?
I mean, the world has a lot of water on it. I can say that. It's like 70% water.
Yeah, but it was according to Genesis. Before it took Noah, I don't know how many years to build the ark, but he's not known as a builder of the ark. He was known as a preacher of righteousness. So he was out preaching in Genesis. The world was very violent. The world was it says that the sons of God forsook their proper dwelling place, which was in heaven. And a lot of them came down to the earth and actually materialized.
Okay.
And had relations with women, and that was not natural. That was not a natural thing.
I guess I could see that would be pretty weird.
So that would be, so they produce offspring. And we were just talking about them. They were Nephilim. They called them
Mighty men of old.
the men of old, men of fame. They were a lot of the Greek mythology.
So because of time constraints, and I gotta go,
is
is it a yes or a no answer? Like, can someone be gay or trans or bi
The world was destroyed.
and be a Jehovah Witness?
Let me just say this.
Because every time I talk to you guys, I feel like there's a lot of like circling around the questions, and it makes me feel like I'm talking to a used car salesman.
I don't want that.
No, okay. Here's a point. Genetics can have a bearing.
So like, yes or no? Can someone be a Jehovah Witness and be gay, bi, or trans?
Yes.
And
as long as they do not practice anything vile in God's eyes.
And so being gay and trans and bi would be vile.
I know people that are witnesses that have been homosexual or whatever.
Uh-huh. And they're okay? Like they can practice and still be gay?
They can't practice. The point is, you can't do things that God does not approve of. But you may still have the desires, the feelings, whatever. Could have been because of the way you were raised or your genetics or whatever the issue might be. You can't practice those things and be acceptable. But you can have the cravings. But as long as you do not practice those things, you can do it.
It sounds like a horrible life to live.
What about
Not necessarily.
I mean, are you gay? Like, if you're gay and then you can't be gay, you can't practice being gay, that sounds horrible.
In God's new world.
That's like having hands, taping up your hands and not being able to do anything. But you have the craving of picking up a bottle and drinking it, you know?
God created us. I mean, He created humans. I mean, He's the one that decides.
I mean, if He created us and some of us came out gay, bi, trans, then...
Well, I don't know. I mean,
it's not by His direction.
It says that in the Bible?
We've got 6,000 years of human genetics that are involved.
That's why I'm so confused. I'm like...
Well, don't be confused because, I tell you, you can be any of those things, but you can't practice.
I don't want to judge anyone.
Okay.
Yeah, see, I don't want to judge anyone either. Like, I have some people that are friends, and I see them as people.
Well, they are. I mean, we go to everybody's door. Jesus talked to lepers, which was the most reprehensible thing there was in that culture. He talked to
them, and I'll bet you Jesus was cool with, like, sinners and, like, people who were considered bad, and he was chastised for that.
He could heal people.
So that's my concern, because, like, someone in my family line over on the East Coast somewhere is probably gay, and if they grew up in this thing, and if they came out as gay, they're not allowed to practice. That's number one to me as an outsider, someone who's very open-minded. That seems like hate, unjustified hate, because God said no.
But that's as an outsider. Now you stand on God's side and look at it and said, Okay, now if he was the creator of a robot and all of a sudden the robot started going crazy,
Started murdering people, yeah, I'd
He'd
be like
destroy
that.
it.
You
He'd
need to
destroy
stop.
it. Right.
We're talking about murder versus someone who is just what they're attracted to.
well, we're talking about what is offensive to God and what isn't.
And then my next question is, if I was on your side of the fence, is I'd be looking up and be going, why? Please explain this to me. Like, please make sense to me.
Answers are all
Because if I was on your
You
side
know
of the
what?
fence,
I'll send
I would
you-
want
I'll
the
send you some
salvation, whatever.
I'll send you some information, and I'll send you some information.
Like, do you guys know why?
No, why what?
Like, why he abhors, apparently just practicing gay practices?
Because he's holy.
That's not a good enough answer. Like, if you were to go to court, like I have a friend who's a lawyer, and if I were to say that in court, that is not going to stand up to the court of law. Because God said no, or because it's not holy. That's not a good enough reason.
Well, that's from your side.
God, God.
That's
God,
from court.
God,
Law,
you know what
logical thinking.
That's
You know
the
what? You
world.
know what the Bible says that in Genesis. that
Apparently,
it says,
God is not logical because he's not explaining himself.
he is logical. He created man and woman. He created when he created Adam. He took a rib from a woman
Yeah,
and he made not a woman.
but earlier you also said,
No.
things happen, and so some people are gay and some people are bi and pan.
Yeah,
Like,
but that's not his fault.
I mean,
oh, so you're saying it's their fault that they came out gay?
No, it's not.
no,
this
his
is-
fault.
Hold on.
No, you see, you're
I mean,
jumping to a conclusion that's not there.
I'm jumping to a logical conclusion that is
no,
there.
that's not logical because you don't have. The
It is
steps
logical
in between.
because we have a world full of gay, bi, trans,
I understand that.
different
We have
races.
A world full of murderers, child molesters.
Yeah, but they're not all that way.
But you can't blame God for that.
I'm not blaming God. I'm asking why. And as a human being, I have
all
that
you
right.
have to do is
And it doesn't sound like you guys are asking why either. You're just going along
Well,
with
I
it.
asked why a long time ago and
We just
accepted
gotta
what the
find it.
Bible said. The Bible said this is detestable to the Creator. Don't do it. That's all I need to hear.
I'm trying to understand both sides.
He's the ultimate judge, the ultimate lawgiver. He's got the highest. That's it.
So because I said so. That's what it sounds
Well,
like.
he's the creator of mankind.
Like Thanos. You seen Infinity War?
the funny.
I feel like I'm the Avengers,
No, it's-
and God is Thanos, and he's just going to want to wipe out half of everybody. because-
what I was saying is in Genesis, when he created Adam, he made a woman as a companion, and then he later on, if you read further, talks about when a man will leave his family and he will stick to his wife, and they will become one flesh.
Mhm.
I mean, it doesn't say he created Adam. Adam was going to marry Jim.
I've heard that before. Like I've heard some.
Okay, well,
Westboro Baptist Church says the same
Well,
thing.
anyway,
They like God created Adam and Eve,
that's-
not Adam and Steve. Is that
that-
what you mean?
That's
That's
a
exactly
little-
what you mean.
That's a little,
She's agreeing.
That's a little joke. That's a little joke.
That's harsh though, but it's
No,
mean.
It
no,
is. It
but
is.
no,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is that when he made them man and woman, and they complement each other, and it's a natural process.
It's more and more I
No,
try to
no.
understand. It sounds like God has a problem because he also
No.
made angels that apparently slept with humans
Well,
and they could reproduce.
Well,
You know what?
He gave us free will. That's the situation.
No,
He-
what he doesn't, what you don't understand is that we're imperfect, right?
Yeah, no one's perfect.
Adam and Eve were perfect, and now
And it doesn't sound like God is either right now.
Adam and Eve were perfect. They sinned, and now we're imperfect. They always likened it to when you're baking. If you have a cake pan and it's dented, every cake I make is going to be dented. So what happened is from Adam and Eve until now, imperfection has gotten more and more. So your part of gay and all this stuff,
Yeah.
it's more prevalent today because we are so far from perfection. Some of it is based not on genetics, but it is based on hormonal problems that people have.
This is a
Which-
science that you guys study?
No, but some of it is
I
based
have.
on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's part of it is that.
Well, I'm in the health field. That's why I said it's how you're raised.
Yeah.
It's your genetics.
Oh.
The influence
They
around
do.
you.
Some
So,
of the food we eat.
People can have those
all-
desires they can't
yeah.
practice. That's all.
And it's because we are so far from perfection, from Adam and Eve, that it has gotten worse. Because let's face it, when I was growing up, it wasn't as prevalent as today.
It was also more closed-minded back then too. Like there was
No,
racism was
it
a bigger
just-
deal.
no.
That's a judgment on the past.
No. That's
Let it
that's
go.
a
No,
fact.
but-
No,
Like
but it's your
But
judgment.
I lived it. I lived during that time, and it
Martin
was,
Luther King. Point proven.
But anyways,
What about it?
that's part of the thing.
He was
today.
saying, racism's got to stop. Like,
That's true.
people were more
It will
closed-minded back
stop.
then
It'll stop.
because of Christian religions and people growing up not around black people
We don't
and
have that
slavery.
problem. In our organization, we don't have that.
Apparently, it's just mostly against gay, bi, and trans people, though.
We're not against them either.
We're not
We
against
don't preach to them.
But
like
you're saying that
anybody
it's not normal and they have to not
saying
give
it's
into
not
their
normal.
cravings.
I'm saying it's more prevalent today because of the times we're living in.
I'm trying to understand both sides, and I'm just
Okay,
the more I
here's the
talk and
simple
more I
thing,
understand, and the more I'm
either
also
you-
worried about my family and what they're involved in.
either- Well,
Because it
they're
sounds
fine.
really scary.
Your family's fine. We either live by God's
Well, they don't really talk to us that much, and then they don't want to hang out with us during holidays. So
Okay.
it comes off as hurtful. But I'm trying to understand.
Here's the bottom line. We choose to live by God's standards and the scriptures. Other people choose to live by their standards. I'm not the judge or the jury. I'm just a witness. That's it. I mean, if they want to live that way, they can live that way. It's not up to me. I go to the door. I talk to everybody.
I'm sure.
I don't ask them, are you a Buddhist, gay? I don't ask anything. I just start preaching the kingdom like Jesus said. And some people go, wow, I'm a this or I'm a that. And I said, well, I'm not here to change that today. You want to study more about what God's standards are? Well, yeah, I'd like to know. Okay, boom. Then it's up to them. It's their choice.
So you said it yourself. You're not here to change it today, but to study it so they can change it later.
Well, it's their personal choice, not mine.
This seems like a lot
I
of
don't do
intolerance.
You know,
well, it's not intolerance. It's very tolerant.
It's only tolerant if it's explained,
It is.
just like law.
You
We
know,
explain it.
the thing is that what our main purpose is to encourage Bible reading and to encourage people to see that there is hope. When you look at the world and how bleak it is, you're a young person.
I mean, the world's a beautiful place. It's got a lot of issues, but it's beautiful.
It's a beautiful place. That's true.
There's beautiful people
But-
in it, and people make mistakes, but
yes, but there are things also happening.
I don't think they should be punished for how they were born.
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about our purpose. If we were just like anybody else, maybe not concerned about sharing the good news of God's kingdom, because that's what Jesus did. Jesus said,
So like me.
"No, I could.
Just a regular person.
I could be
Jesus
just a
talked to
regular
everybody.
person. I could be doing something else. I could be at home. Instead, we're out here putting ourselves out. We don't get paid. We do it because
Yeah, they told me that.
it's because we care for people and we want to share something that's important. We know the Bible
But
prophecy is being fulfilled.
That's what the Scientologists and the Mormons
Well-
have said to me, the same thing.
Well, yeah, but we do it all the time. The Mormons do it for 2 years, and that's it. They stop.
No, I mean, at my gym, I met this Mormon girl, and she was pretty on me about all the Mormon stuff, too.
Well,
It just
I
seems very
understand that,
similar.
yeah, but they don't believe in the Bible. They don't have the Bible.
They do. They have their own extension of the Bible, though.
Yeah.
Well, the Book
Yeah.
of Mormon.
But anyway.
But the
And
thing is
Scientologists,
that there's a reason.
Oh, you know what? Scientologists have this thing they call going clear, because they're not for homosexuality either.
My point
So if
is,
someone was gay, they would actually
you ever been,
mark
you
someone.
ever been at a Scientology?
Well, let me finish. They would mark if someone was like, I guess, grew up Scientologist or became Scientologist, and then the person ended up being gay. If you didn't change your ways, they would kick them out,
they're
and they would
they're an SP.
they would mark them as a suppressive person. That's what it is. I saw that Leah Remini documentary.
Yeah.
It was crazy. You guys don't do that, right? You don't kick someone out for being gay.
I told you they can be a witness as long as they don't practice. If they practice, then they have to be expelled. But if they stop practicing, they come back in.
So you guys do the same thing.
We're not Scientologists.
No, but it's the same
know,
principle.
I used to.
Well, the principle is Jehovah has his standards, and they're all in here.
I'm really worried about my family now.
And, well, I'm worried about
Because Scientology is a
don't-
cult.
You ever? That's what I'm saying. You ever been around? I used to. I retired. I was down in Southern California just about a year ago, and some of our work was at the Scientology headquarters. It was down in Hemet, right close to Hemet, San Jacinto, and it's a compound. You go there. It's a compound. It's security. You can't when you go in because we had some of our equipment that I had to service. 'Cause
Equipment?
I work for the gas company.
Oh, okay.
So I was working for the gas company.
So you had to go in there.
So I had to go in and
Right.
they had to watch me, and they're like soldiers, foot soldiers. Their marriages are not. mean, it was very difficult for me to be in there, but witnesses aren't like that.
I mean, it seems pretty similar. I'm not gonna lie.
No, we don't
How is
have a
that
prison.
possible?
We don't have a prison to re-educate people.
I mean,
I don't get
it sounds
my-
like you guys are like now preaching that to re-educate people. It sounds very similar.
It's part of Jesus.
Have you seen the Leah Remini documentary?
I've seen it.
I saw the first episode. It was mind
I was
blowing.
there. I mean, I wasn't involved with them.
No, you saw that on A&E, the documentary.
But I saw that.
Crazy, right? Like how they could treat people like that.
I lived in Utah for 16 years, so
Oh, right.
nobody needs to explain.
There's
the
another-
Mormon church
yeah,
to
there's
me.
another one.
Yeah. No, thank you.
But,
I had a friend who left Mormonism at 34. He's a good friend of mine. Really scary how they treat their people financially, and
How they treat
Yeah.
I mean,
their
they have the same rules. You
how
can't be
they,
gay,
how they
but
treat their women is even worse. But anyway,
I hope you guys treat your women very well.
we do.
The women are awesome.
We do.
We wouldn't be here without them.
I don't know. We've
That's
been
right.
married 38 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's a hard thing to pull
I've
off.
been married 48.
Congrats.
We have 2 kids. Both serving Jehovah. One is he's working in Puerto Rico.
Like missionary stuff.
Well, yeah, he does that. He uses the skills, help out.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we just do the best we can.
Yeah.
Anyway, enjoy your job.
Yeah, I gotta. Let me
Been
make
fun
sure
talking
see what
to you.
time.
It's been fun talking to you.
Oh yeah, I gotta go. But
Well, nice to meet
what was your name again?
Richard.
Richard.
Darren.
Daryl.
Darren.
Darren. Rhea. Very nice meeting you guys.
Yeah.
Wish you the best. If you find an explanation of those 2
So
scriptures,
I'll send it to you. Or I'll
I'd
have
definitely be
him send it
interested.
to you.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
Since you wanted to talk to him.
Whichever.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Not a problem.
See you guys. So now you've seen it. I thought it was pretty cool to finally share that information with you. If you want to see more cart style stuff to this, let me know. I also, for each of these cart approach videos, I've gotten a lot of messages from other XJW friends and some of you guys approach as well. I was following a formula, something called setting the frame, making sure I was asking the questions and not letting them lead, because if you let them lead, you let them have control. But if you set the formula, set the frame, and ask the certain questions in a certain way in a thought-provoking manner, you can control the conversation and get them to say pretty much what you would expect them to say, without, telling them what to say. They'll just say it themselves, and many times it's just a little bit of preparation ahead of time. If you guys would like to see that in a download in the future, let me know. I'll try to get that in the description somewhere, and a link to the last video that I did where I played extremely dumb. I played a lot less dumb this time. But again, I was doing it in a friendly way. I wasn't attacking. I was just asking thoughtful questions, but putting them in their place too, because you got to stand firm against these cults. Their bigotry and their hate is not fucking okay. It's not fucking okay. And for those of you that are leaving a lot of hate comments in the last videos where it's okay to hate on gays and it's okay to hate on people, I am not gay, but I have massive respect for people who have figured themselves out. So any hate comments, please don't leave that here. And if you don't like what I have to say on that, then it's up to you to figure out our relationship. You don't have to keep following me. You don't have to like this video. You don't have to subscribe. But otherwise, spread love, brothers and sisters. I will see you in the next one. And go ask some thoughtful questions to some JWs or Christians or Scientologists or Mormons. It might be fun. Until next time, I will see you.